Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor Lloyd. I'm your new tech bestie, and if you already read the title, then you know we're talking about the perfect settings for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. That is such a mouthful, but I feel like that camera is still going viral. It's been out for about a year now and people are still discovering it and loving it, and it's well deserved because it's a great camera. Now I've had it for about a year, give and take a few weeks because I lost one and had to rebuy it. And over that year, there are a lot of things that I have to say I really love about the camera. The size factor, it being small enough to kind of like throw in your purse, and then also being able to get good quality content pretty discreetly. The 3-axis gimbal that it's on. So since the camera is on a gimbal, it's like a little gimbal in your hand, the content that you shoot is so freaking smooth, and I love that. Blame it on my motion sickness, but I cannot do the super jumpy footage, so shooting with this camera, that's never an issue. And then also the battery life. I find that the battery life is really good and it's so easy to charge on the go. If you're a vlogger, it's just such a win. Now on the other side, there are some things that I have been trying to problem solve since I got the camera, and I finally think we're in a good place. One of them being like maximizing the quality and another being the color. I'm gonna mention this because this is a common issue for a lot of people. If you shoot with cameras like Canons or Sonys, when you're trying to blend your footage, the color of the Osmo Pocket 3 can be a little off-putting at times. And I think I'm pretty late to this, but I did figure out the solution along with just tweaking my settings to get what I feel like is the best quality I can get out of this camera, and that's what we're talking about today. So I'm gonna share with you guys all the things I did to get my footage from looking like this with the Osmo Pocket 3 to starting to look like this. So here are the best settings in my mind. Let's get into them. I don't take a lot of pictures on the Osmo Pocket 3. I know that you can. I know the pictures are not bad, but we're talking about video settings. So yeah, first one's gonna be the frame rate. You have to understand frame rates when shooting specific content. Now, I like to keep my frame rate on 4K, 30 frames per second. That's what I'm shooting right now on this camera. It's pretty much what I shoot on every camera unless I'm going to be slowing my footage down. So if you are a vlogger and you like slow-mo clips and you like to kind of like do montages, you're gonna shoot on 4K 60, okay? You don't wanna shoot 4K 30 if you're gonna be slowing footage down, because your footage is gonna be a lot more choppy than it would be on 60 frames per second. 24 basically gives the most cinematic look. So if you're really trying to get that look and feel, you're gonna shoot on 24 frames. I don't find a massive difference between 24 and 30, me personally. There is one, but for the kind of content that I shoot, it doesn't make the world of a difference to me. So yeah, I shoot on 4K 30. You're gonna shoot on 4K 60 if you like to slow down your footage. And if you want the most cinematic, eyeball, realistic looking content, you're gonna shoot on 4K 24. Next, we are gonna talk about the color, because this is a huge issue for a lot of people. Some people don't mind it. They're like, I don't see what all the fuss is about. And I see both sides. If you're only shooting with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and you don't shoot with other cameras, it's fine. It doesn't look like a big deal. You can't really tell a difference. However, if you are shooting with outside cameras and you're like blending footage, let's say you have a bigger vlogging camera that you shoot with when you're like around the house and in the car, and then when you go to stores, you shoot with the Osmo Pocket 3. When you blend that footage, if you're just shooting the raw color out of the Osmo, you're gonna notice a difference. And the solution to that is shooting in log. For the past few weeks, I have been shooting in D-Log, okay? I know that it's very intimidating because when you shoot in log, everything looks super washed out and gray, and you're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to color grade, right? Well, you don't need to, because DJI actually has a free LUT that you can lay on top of your footage. A LUT is basically a look-up table. It just means color correction, okay? And they do it for you. So you just download the LUT from the DJI website. I'll link it down below. Download it, and you overlay it on your footage, and it's fixed instantly, and you get a way better color profile than shooting just with the camera not in log, okay? So my second tip is going to be change your color setting to log. That's how you're gonna get the best color. I do a little bit of color grading on my own, nothing crazy. I am not an expert. That's not something that I've done a lot of research in to even be able to teach or share, but this alone has made a big difference in my footage. The next thing is something I preach about all my cameras, is exposure. I feel like cameras a lot of times can overexpose. I feel like my iPhone camera does it, and if I don't lower my ISO, it'll do it on my traditional cameras, especially when I'm shooting in automatic. So exposure is basically brightness, right? If you ever been shooting outside and you look at yourself in the camera and you look just really like washed out, that's because you're being overexposed. The way I like to combat this is I lower my exposure to negative 0.3 and I leave it there. That means it's always a little underexposed, which means even if I'm in a darker area, it doesn't look crazy. But when I'm outside in the brighter areas, I don't have to worry about being blown out. I find that this helps because when you are not overexposed, you get more detail, okay? And I do the same thing on my iPhone. Don't be afraid to lower that exposure. The next thing is definitely preference, but for me, it has helped a lot. It is your reference line, or in general, it's called a grid. I have the grids turned on all of my cameras, including my phone. And what it does is it kind of gives you like 9 boxes. And this is really good to have on if you are very particular or you want to be more intentional with your shots. You want to make sure things are centered when you're shooting them. I see this a lot with people who are shooting more cinematic content, or they're just trying to make their content look more high quality. When your footage is like crooked or like off-centered, it stands out to the human eye. When you can get those perfect lines, it just looks a lot more clean. And the grid saves my life more than ever. Like even right now with my camera, I'm in the middle grid. And I like that because then if I wanted to crop down to vertical, let's just say, I know I'm in frame, right? It's the same thing when you're shooting with your Osmo Pocket 3. Turning that grid on will help you frame things a lot better. This is a preference though, because there is always permanently lines on your screen, and some people just hate the look of that. I get it, but it is something that I feel like I keep on all the time, and it definitely helps me. Now for the next thing, I don't want the girls to want to tussle with me, okay? So just listen, girl to girl, friend to friend, okay? I'm just looking out for you. You have to turn the glamour effect off. I know how tempting it is to smooth out your skin and look really like well put, and just you gotta turn that off because it's not maximizing your quality. It's quite literally doing the opposite. All that smoothing and blurring is messing up your videos, okay? And you also have to notice that it's not just doing it to your face, it's doing it to the complete video. And so if you are looking for more crisp lines and more detailed features, you have to turn that setting off. Don't fight me. The next thing is your gimbal speed. Now on this camera, as you like pan around the room, you can set your gimbal speed to pan faster or pan slower, depending on what you're shooting. Now this is another thing like frame rate. It does depend on what you're shooting. If you are shooting F1 at a racetrack and you're trying to catch the cars and you're panning, put your gimbal speed on fast, right? Because you want it to hurry up. If you're just shooting lifestyle content, you can put it on slow and you're gonna get the smoothest footage, or like the medium ground, and that's kind of like a hybrid in between the two. It's totally up to you. I would definitely play around with them though. A lot of people don't even know you can adjust the gimbal speed, and they're trying to film stuff and they're like, oh, why is it taking so long? You can speed that up. You can speed that up, you can slow that down, you can do what you want. I'm in the middle, okay? I'm currently in the middle, but there have been times where I have moved it to slow, and there have been times that I moved it to fast. Next, audio. This one is pretty simple because I think it might automatically be on, but it's just worth double checking. If you are out and about vlogging, you vlog in louder areas and you're depending on the mic in the DJI camera, which is not a bad mic, by the way. Just say that. It's actually a pretty good mic built into that camera. You're gonna wanna turn on the wind noise cancellation. I think that's what it's called. I'll show y'all, but you're gonna turn that on because it's going to help get rid of all that background noise, especially if you're talking to the camera while you're out and about. You don't wanna be picking up cars honking and people talking and people yelling. Turn that on, make sure it's turned on. I think it might be by default, but if not, make sure it is. Next thing is focus mode, and you're gonna keep it on continuous focus. This one's like, duh, you wanna be in focus the entire time you're shooting, and the way to do that on the camera is just turn that setting on. It's gonna make sure you get the sharpest shots and that the subject is continually in focus, i.e. the name. So on the focus mode, continuous focus. The next one is sharpness, and this is something I've learned over time with shooting with this camera. Sometimes you get this really digitalized, like it almost looks a little fake because it's too sharp. It's like over sharp. So you can actually turn down your sharpness levels, which I prefer. I currently have it on -2, and I find that that's my nice middle ground where the lines aren't super sharp and look digitalized, but they also still have sharpness. This is up to you. If you like a more overly sharp look, then leave it alone. But if you notice that in your footage and you're like, ugh, why does everything look so digitalized? You can actually turn that down, and I would recommend it. So as far as video goes, those are some of the settings that I feel like are most important to me and maybe will help you guys out, not sure, Also, if you stay to the end, then you will know I actually created a little guide that's everything I mentioned today in it for you. Also, there are lots of accessories that I've collected for my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I have those linked in the guide as well, just in case you are looking to accessorize your camera. Now, I am completely open to doing a video about the accessories that I've bought. Some of them not so great, some of them I really like. I'd love to do a video like that, so if that's something y'all are interested in, let me know in the comments. And other than that, enjoy these settings, happy vlogging, and I'll see you guys in my next video.